Welcome back to A Moment in History. I'm Seth Udinsky. In tonight's segment, let's explore the largest and quite possibly the most important military land invasion in world history. This bold act of all-out war paved the way for victory for the Allied powers in World War II. Thousands of young men laid down their lives on the beaches of Normandy with the singular goal to stop the Nazis and protect innocent civilians. Let's go back and discover the famous D-Day invasion of World War II. In 1944, World War II had ravaged the globe. Millions of soldiers and a significant number of civilians had died in the conflict. As the war was approaching its fifth full year, the commanders of the Allied forces, led in part by future U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower, came to the realization that a full-scale invasion into Europe was necessary to free the continent from the death grip of Nazi Germany. The campaign was codenamed Operation Overlord, and the Allied commanders targeted June 5th as the day that Allied soldiers would descend upon Europe. Now, in an interesting twist of history, the weather on June 5th was not conducive for the invasion, so General Eisenhower moved the invasion launch date back to June 6th, the day Americans would come to remember as D-Day. On the morning of June 6th, roughly 160,000 Allied troops descended upon the beaches of Normandy in northwestern France in a landing that has become the stuff of legend. Now, the Germans were not about to give up the continent without a fight, and many of the beaches were littered with German snipers in foxholes waiting to pick off the largely exposed Allies. On certain parts of the French coast, specifically at Omaha Beach, the survival rate for the initial waves of soldiers was 50-50. In those first initial days alone, as many as 4,000 Allied soldiers lost their lives, with many more captured, missing, or wounded. The cost was great, but it was worth it. The Allies, bolstered by more troops to double their numbers on the beaches, overtook the Germans on the French coast and gradually made their way across France in the summer of 1944. Finally, in late summer, the Allies freed the French capital of Paris. And with the Americans and Brits closing in on the west and the Russians penetrating the east, Nazi Germany's days were numbered. The D-Day invasion, though costly, was one of the greatest victories in American military history, and it spurred the Allies to victory over the Nazis in 1945. Thanks so much for joining me once again for A Moment in History. For more historical content, subscribe and click that bell to get notifications for when our next Moment in History comes out. Until next time, I'm Seth Udinsky.